Okay, I've got a question. What do a chowder recipe, market roses, and an unexplainably viral photo have in common?
Well, believe it or not, they are all key plot points in 2023's A Picture of Her, brand new out on Hallmark. And we've got a lot to talk about, Jennifer.
We do, Josh, and we'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
If you like holiday movies from the classics to newbies, let's sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh. Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Spring has officially sprung, and with it, we are getting a brand new crop of movies from Hallmark for their Spring into Love releases. Are you feeling spring in the air, Jennifer?
Well, finally. So we live in and around Nashville, and if you don't know this area, the weather will change drastically within 1 week.
Like that.
So we had a tease of spring in like late February, and then it got wintry again, and then it was bad tornado watches, and now this weekend was a beautiful spring weekend. What say
It was
you?
beautiful, 80 degrees, spent a lot of time outside, and the movie we're talking about really helped to get me in a spring frame of mind. Brand new on Hallmark.
Did it?
It did. It did.
Did it even take place in spring?
Well, it was outdoors. There was a lot of it that was outdoors. A
Yeah,
lot
okay.
of
All right.
walking around
That's fair.
outdoors. It just sort of felt
Yes.
like that time of year. So,
Okay.
we'll get to it in a moment.
Well, first, do us a favor if you're here listening or watching us on YouTube. Help us grow our podcast. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, write a 5-star review. We'll always take those. It really helps us out. And while you're at it, you can follow us on social media. Anything you need, the links to all of it is at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com.
Check us out. We want to build a bigger community around these crazy little movies that we like so much, Jennifer.
Hynes, we know you're listening.
We know you're out there.
We know you're here. Follow us. Come
Welcome to the
on.
family. Welcome to the family.
Now we've gone full Gwen Shamblin trying to recruit
Yikes.
people. Okay, we digress. Now to the plot summary from IMDb. Beth becomes the subject of an award-winning magazine's cover and goes on a quest to find the photographer who snapped her photo. Was this award-winning? What
Well,
award did
let's
it win?
go. What award did it win? A Pulitzer? Who knows? Let's go.
We open to a peppy pop love song and extreme close-ups of our shutterbot, quote unquote, Tyler Hynes, aka Jake, working with his camera. He's then developing photos in his kitchen? Question mark.
Right? Dining
I'm
room?
not a photographer, but is that the best place to develop? Can we get a dark room somewhere, a closet? Yeah.
One would think.
All right. His friend calls him to come meet her at a diner in LA. He hops on his motorcycle. Of course,
Of
because of
course.
course he wears a leather jacket and motorcycle, and he takes off. At the diner, a celebrity is seen on a date with not his wife, scandal, and other paparazzi join in, and they chase the couple off. Jake runs into the other paparazzi and calls him JPEG. That's his nickname. Cool, bro.
Cool, bro. Yeah.
So JPEG and Shutterbot have this little paparazzi friendship going on, I guess. I am very aware of Paps because I listened to Prince Harry's audiobook Spare recently, and boy, he said the word Pap no less than 84,000 times. So I'm very aware of the paparazzi, and they're not always a beloved people of the
No.
group.
No. And I think he knows this, Jake. And so we get early on from him that he has sort of this artistic side, but then he sort of does this paparazzi thing too, sort of to pay the bills, it would seem.
Gotta eat because he had a very nice house or
Yeah, he
townhouse or
did.
condo, whatever it was.
And presumably lives in
So
LA, so I mean he's dropping some coin on this place. Yeah.
that leather jacket alone, I'm sure, set him back a pretty penny.
Premium gas for the
Jake's
motorcycle. Just
Jake's
saying.
got some money. Cut to our female lead, Beth, and her dad getting their fishing boat ready to set sail up in Washington. Beth's aunt has a compound fracture and she's nursing it, so her dad has the great idea to send his daughter to take care of her in LA. And I am loving the daddy daughter bond here. I
They
really thought they were
seem
cute.
to love each other, and this actor who plays her dad seems to have really embraced what other actors might have looked like as just a bit role. He really sort of embraced this father figure in a great way, I thought.
Yeah, and I can't recall which ones, but I've seen him in a lot of these movies. So
Yeah,
he's perfect, which I think is good too, because a lot of times if we see the parents, they're just like, oh, you need to be in a relationship. And they're very like negative or controlling or weird. So this
right.
was refreshing to see a healthy parental relationship for once.
Amen. I agree.
As you raise your Bucky's cup, here, here.
Here, here.
Sponsored not by Bucky's.
Yet.
Yet. Dream big. If you don't know about Bucky's, they are a gas station chain in, I don't know, primarily Southeast, question
Mm-hmm.
mark.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not your average gas station. Bucky's is an experience.
It's like a Walmart met a Cracker Barrel met a gas station.
With 100 pumps. They have this beaver logo is on everything. We went on
Everything.
the way to Disney World, and I really think in hindsight, last fall we could have just gone to Bucky's, and my son would have been just as happy. There was a live Bucky beaver walking around. I was completely overwhelmed. It was like Black Friday crowds in there. People just
Sensory
I was in a mosh
overload
pit, I think.
everywhere.
So we got the most precious photo of Grayson with the Bucky beaver, and then he wanted the stuffed Bucky, and I said, sure. I tossed it across the store to Andy. I was like, he said, are we getting this? I was like, yep,
Run!
we're getting it. We're getting it, and I'm getting out. And I will say, Grayson is cuddling with Bucky tonight. So
Oh, see? Beautiful moments.
that beaver's made an impact in my house.
There you go. We digress.
I digress. We digress. Okay. So cut to LA footage, B-roll, and the celebrity news office. Now, do you think this magazine was a little reminiscent of some Snow Bride Pulse?
I know. It felt very Pulse-ish in terms of celebrity gossip and hot things to be on the lookout for. It was very Snow Bride-y. Yeah.
Yes, but they don't do gossip. They do what they call it. Like she had another name for it, like celebrity sightings or something like that, to try to
It
get away
was
from the
basically gossip.
I really want a Greta Kane to walk in the background.
Right,
I
exactly.
really want a Hallmark metaverse.
Please.
What do we have to do to make that happen? It'd be so fun. Anywho, the boss lady utters the line, "If you're a Brussels sprout." I don't know what that means, but here we are. The feature editor boss lady wants Tyler Jake to take photos of the new feature, Springtime in the City, which I guess she thinks is incredibly innovative. And Jake is brooding and charming, obviously. We knew that from the get-go. Back to Beth. She is in town now. She's in LA. She's at the market with her aunt. And what do you know? Jake is there taking photos for Springtime in the City. His assignment, he snapped some photos of her admiring roses, which were her late mom's favorite. Now, this is a sentence that could easily be creepy if this were not an innocent Hallmark movie. But here we are. Jake goes back to his lovely house. He's editing the photos at home, and magical music plays. And he says, there she is in all of her candid glory, as he admires his photo and what he calls, quote, the flower girl. He is surprised. He had fun at an assignment for once. He submits the photos of standard vegetables and flowers to the boss lady, and that is the end of that. Or is it?
Yeah, because he accidentally copies and pastes the picture of her into the files that he's going to send off to this Pulse-ish LA hot, not gossip brag.
Whoopsie doodles.
Whoopsie
and therein
doodles.
lies the conflicts of the movie.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
So the paper editor asks him to check in on her dog Princess. I guess they're friends, or at least co-workers long enough. He shows up at the dog park, and Princess is not interested in playing fetch, but who happens to be at the dog park pelting Jake in the head with a tennis ball? But our dear Beth. Ooh! We get our official meet cute.
And it was very cute.
Baby talk. It was very cute. I really like the scene, but I did not like Beth's baby talk to the dog. It was a little grating on me.
No.
Is she talking like that the whole movie? It was just for the dog, but it was alarming to say the least. But they chat. They learn they both like riding bikes. He asks her to go tomorrow, and she's a little put off, which I actually find refreshing because usually in these movies, people are way too trusting of random people that they meet on a bench at a dog park. So he kind of charms her, and then she reluctantly agrees to go riding. So their date is set for tomorrow because he couldn't wait longer.
Couldn't wait. And it's important to note too, Jennifer, she has a little bit of hesitancy about going back to LA in the first place because she was unlucky in love. And so being in Washington with her dad was sort of her chance to kind of restart after she had previously been in LA. So it was kind of a return to LA, which she wasn't too excited about, which is, I think, what sort of explains some of her hesitancy when she meets this guy in the dog park.
True. She was not love torn. What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Hmm.
Scorned.
Love
Woman
scorned.
scorned.
A woman
Love
scorned.
scorned. Sounds like love torn, but really love scorned. On their date, Jake has done some research and pre-gamed and asks her some boating questions, which I thought was super cute.
Right?
Jake's friend catches a celebrity, Devin Davies, because again, it's like Claire St. Clair.
It is. It's that kind of a name. Has
Devin
to be.
Davies is stealing a scarf in her purse. So the friend calls Jake. Okay, I also thought the friend and the boss lady were the same person at first.
I did
but they're
too. They
different.
look a
Don't
lot
they look
alike.
alike?
I thought they were the
They
same
looked
person
too
the whole
similar.
time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're two different people. So the friend who gave him the tip at the cafe or the diner at the beginning of the movie gives him the tip, hey, Devin Davies is stuffing a scarf in her purse and got busted. So Jake takes the call and he's going to go and leaves Beth sitting on a bench eating gelato on their date to go take pictures. And he hides like why he's leaving or what he does because he's kind of embarrassed for doing the side stuff for Pulse magazine.
And
I feel some type of way if I got left on a bench eating gelato in a midday.
Exactly, right?
You're not a doctor. You're not a surgeon.
You're on sort of a first date, right? And it's gone pretty well, and you're having gelato, and he just ups and bounces to go take pictures somewhere. I don't know.
I'd be like, is this really like you're not having fun, so your friend calls you and has an emergency when really you're just not having a good time? But she couldn't have. She was totally fine with it. She's like, okay, I got free gelato, got a night out in the city. I'm good.
Single folks out there, if you need to tuck that excuse in your back pocket, apparently it works. So, sorry, gotta
Just
run.
give them a sweet treat before you bolt. Yeah, here.
Here's some gelato. I gotta go take pictures of somebody. Bye.
We'll call it Glad Tidings Gelato. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So Jake gets there just in time to snap some photos of the celeb being put in the cop car, which is totally scandalous. She was this actress was very aggressive when she did, in fact, put the scarf in her purse and was not planning on paying for it.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was a funny scene.
It was
because
very funny.
She was very funny. Trying to get her way out of it, and it was not working at all.
No, the employees were like, no, you weren't going to pay for it. Stop it. Stop lying.
Right. Jeez.
All right. So now we move on to the next date because she was not turned off by the gelato bailing. So here we are again. Beth and Jake are at the market and they're shopping for food for tonight's clam chowder because Aunt Dottie already wants to meet Jake. Now, Josh, are you a chowder guy?
Love a chowder. Love a chowder.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bigger the clams,
I tried
the better.
chowder once. Oh, okay. Is that something you make? Do you have a special recipe for it?
Well, my family has roots in New
partake?
England, right? So my grandparents lived on Cape Cod. And so I'm a big stickler for a hearty Boston clam chowder. Big time.
I did not know this. See,
yeah.
After all this time, Josh, you're like an onion. I'm just peeling the layers back.
Peel it back. That's the friendship we've got here.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me some oyster
tried
crackers.
Chowder once in Martha's Vineyard, which is a very bougie thing to say.
Come on, bougie.
Oh, I was with our friend Liz at Martha's Vineyard, and
I was summering on the vineyard and decided to have some
on holiday. We were there 24 hours. It was awesome. Actually, less than. We didn't even stay in Martha's Vineyard. I digress. Okay, so they buy all the ingredients for the chowder, and then Beth is a bit of an environmentalist and she's trying to reduce her carbon footprint, but she runs out of water in her water bottle. So how convenient. Jake's like, I just live right down the street, come back to my very nice, very well decorated, very expensive place, and you can fill up your water bottle. So off they go. She is a smitten kitten at this point. They have a very cute, like, paparazzi. She's like pretending to be a model and he's like, oh, work it for the camera moment. And then she gets embarrassed, which again, I thought was very relatable and made me like her as a character a lot. He then teaches her how to use the old camera with his arms around her, kind of like Ghost with that pottery.
That's exactly what I thought.
Except he did ask for consent first before he got too close to her with the camera, which I appreciate. So
he's a gentleman.
2023. We've come a long way. He's got some manners. Yeah. Beth mentioned to Aunt Dottie liked orchids, so when Jake shows up at their house later for chow tonight, he brings her an orchid and didn't realize she has about 9 billion of them already, which I had to laugh.
Yeah, the aunt lives in a greenhouse. It's beautiful. And I also had to ask myself, who is lighting all of these candles in her house? Because literally, when they're having chowder, there are 1 million candles burning everywhere in the
Mhm.
house. In every angle, there's 18 candles in the background. It was very
Aunt Dottie and her
woo,
busted leg had set the scene
romance.
for sure. Yes. So I had to laugh because at this point there was a commercial for Macy's and it showed a woman smelling roses just like Beth in the beginning of this movie.
Do you think
Further
they
proving it's
knew?
not really like, and either they knew, probably not, or it's just that common of a thing
Hmm.
that it's not like you saw an alien, you saw a woman smelling roses, but or anybody smelling roses. Anywho, cut to Aunt Dottie at the chow tonight, and she's asking what the intentions are that Jake has with our dear Beth. And man, they've been on like 2 dates. And then at this point, Aunt Dottie spills the tea that Beth's heart has been broken. And I wrote, Aunt Dottie, chill out. She acts like
Honestly,
she will murder this man for hurting Beth.
whoa.
And it's just a little extreme.
It felt like a lot. But then I started thinking, Aunt Dottie was probably a surrogate mom because
Mm.
Beth's mom had passed earlier in life. And so, in my mind, she sort of felt this really overprotective role. And I think the actress who played her was phenomenal. I really liked her role and
Mhm.
really liked the way she played it. But you're right, it was very, what are your intentions with her? I just
Yeah.
want to be very
I mean,
clear here.
literally,
It was, woof, intense.
I will find you and murder you if
It
you hurt
was
this
very
girl's
that.
heart, this
Yeah.
grown woman's heart.
Which, incidentally,
I think Aunt
Jennifer,
Dottie has slashed some tires in her life for
yeah,
sure.
incidentally, my favorite memory from my wedding, now more than,
Excuse me?
yeah, long
Segue?
time ago. Yeah. No,
Okay.
believe me, there is a point here. So,
I'm here.
favorite memory was when we were doing the receiving line afterward and family pictures and the whole 9 yards. And Lauren's grandmother, God bless Judy, she always wore an I love Jesus pin. Just one of those kind of charming Southern women. She
Love it.
leaned into my ear the day of our wedding and whispered, "If you ever hurt her, I'll kill you." Grandma Judy loved
She's looking
her.
out for Lauren.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So very much this Aunt Dottie vibe from Grandma Judy. Yeah.
The pin makes it even better. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh, that's amazing. What was Lauren's reaction when you told her? Like, yeah,
She's
that's
like,
just
that's
her.
par for the course. Yeah, that's Grandma
Mhm.
Judy. Yeah. Hmm.
Your family now is
Yeah.
what it is. That is amazing. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. So, as luck would have it, the local LA magazine that Boss Lady publishes comes out and she gives Jake a sneak peek, and his flower girl photo of our dear Beth is the cover for Springtime in the City. And he's freaking out because he has been hiding that he works for Bobo Pulse magazine. Kind of hasn't really at all told her that he already had seen her and taken photos of her before they met at the dog park. And it's a little awkward. What's he going to do? Then we cut to Aunt Dottie and Beth taking a stroll. And for reasons unknown to me at all, people start opening this magazine and they see Beth on the cover and they are like, it's her. And they assemble, they start taking photos of her like she is Kim Kardashian. And I thought this part of the movie was completely
Ridiculous.
unrealistic. 20 to
Ridiculous.
30 people assembled at once, like flies to honey. Could not believe it.
It was these extras who thought to themselves, this is my moment. This is my moment. I'm
Yeah.
going to get discovered. And they went to town overacting in this particular scene.
So ridiculous. And so Beth's not happy with her newfound fame. And
You know,
Aunt Dottie was very funny in the scene. Back to what you said about her being protective, because she's like, okay, coming through. Oh, you're right here. Okay, here we come. We're coming through. And they
move
kind
it
of
along.
sneak away to a
Move it along.
restaurant, which I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. And so Beth storms up to Bobo Pulse magazine and is asking for details of who the photographer Shutterbot is. They will not disclose who it is, and publisher lady tells Jake, hey, she came up here. She's looking for who it is. You probably need to like give her a heads up. So Jake's all stressed out on how to tell her. So then we get a montage or a cut to the whole country has been looking for this flower girl, and she's on a local news bit, and
Mm.
she might be getting an agent involved to be a model or in commercials because she has the perfect natural face because she smelled a rose.
It's
Is the meaning of this movie that maybe we just need to stop and smell a rose?
I guess so, because apparently that's the key to becoming an Insta celebrity is to just go to your farmer's market and wander through the roses. I don't, yeah. I wrote in my notes,
I could not believe any of this.
cut to the Claire Delito show, which I guess is the local version of what, Live with, you know, Kelly and Ryan or
Kelly
whoever
or
it is this
yeah.
week. Yeah. And Beth is a guest. Apparently her cover shot has gone viral. Like, dot, 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 no. Dot, dot, dot. Just, it was a
I
little,
mean, don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful photo.
oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
kudos to Shutterbot where kudos are due, but it's not listen, we're trying to make America more dignified than we are. That's not going to go viral.
No,
If she had like slipped and fell into the flowers or something, or like sneezed on one, maybe that'd go viral. But
maybe,
we as Americans, as a culture, are not going to care about a beautiful photo of a beautiful girl smelling a flower. I'd
no.
love to say we are, but we're not. It's not going to go viral.
Well, you know what?
Could not get over it.
Hallmark is nothing if not aspirational. So I got to give it to them. Maybe they do envision a world where we are all captivated by simple beauty.
I
God
guess
bless.
so. And you know, what a world that would be. What a wonderful world. It starts playing in the background. But here we are. So Jake takes Beth on another date and makes a weak attempt to tell her that he is Shutterbot and he took the photo. So he frames the photo and gives it to her. And he's like, I took it. And she's like, what? And she starts to get a little like, excuse me, and gets a little irritated. And he backpedals because he's, avoiding conflict, which I can appreciate. And he said, no, I took it off the internet like everybody else because you're so viral. And Jake,
Come
what are
on.
you doing?
Come on, Jake.
And then they kiss because there's nothing like some good old fashioned lies to make you want to smooch, I guess.
Mm.
Beth meets up with a business agent who is super shady and don't like him at all. And he says she's been blessed with the perfect look. So he wants to get her hooked up with this national spot for prosperity, which was an insurance company or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She goes to meet him at his office to sign the deal. And he's like, oh, here, my office. You don't want to see my office. Let's just go to the lobby. So did he not even work there?
I was so confused because they were clearly trying to make him look shady. So he's at his
Yeah.
office and there's a security guard who's keeping a very close eye on him. Is the implication like he doesn't actually work there and he got kicked off? Like I couldn't
But
figure
it
it out.
is a real gig.
Yeah. So he's got some
So
kind of connections. He's just
maybe he's just
skeezy.
lower in the rankings than
Maybe.
he
Yeah.
pretended to be. And this is his power. I feel like there was a scene missing. And not
Right.
that I really wanted to spend too much time on this guy, but
Thank you.
I was thinking it was going to go somewhere and it didn't
It
really.
didn't.
But
No. Yeah.
here we are. Okay. So moving right along. She agrees to do the commercial or the national spot, and she goes and they get her all dolled up. We're talking like cascading tendrils, overly done makeup, this big production costume, and it doesn't look like her. Obviously, it's not a great look. And she takes it off and runs out of the trailer. And Richie, the agent, is like, no, 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 but you can still go. Like, here, we'll talk to him. Blah, 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 blah. And at this point, Jake shows up to rescue her, I guess.
Mm.
And JPEG from earlier in the movie
Mm-hmm.
yells, hey, Shutterbot, and rats out Jake.
Oof.
Whoops. So now she knows he's Shutterbot. Now she knows he's been lying like a lying liar who lies a lot. And she runs off.
Mm. She's mad. Yeah.
She's big mad, and understandably so. Now, with this whole I'm running off and I'm not going to do the prosperity thing, didn't she sign some sort of a contract or like, are there legal implications of her running away from this gig?
You would think so,
You would
but I
think.
guess we're just going to gloss over that. Yada, yada, that.
Yada, yada. I mean, I'm all about staying true to oneself, but there's got to be some kind of a fine or something. I don't know. Anywho, so Beth decides, I'm done. LA's exactly still what it used to be. I'm going back to Washington. Aunt Dottie sees Jake and gives him the business because he's trying to apologize. He shows up at her house, and her tone and her voice is reminiscent of Ursula in The Little Mermaid at this point. She's like, oh, Jake.
Right.
Doesn't she sound like Ursula?
Oh, Jake from State Farm, you've really done it this time. It was very
You
that.
poor unfortunate soul. She's gone back to Washington. You really mucked it up like I told you shouldn't.
Right.
I'm surprised. If it had been on Lifetime, she would have pulled a knife right out.
She would have.
Like, it's time to pay.
It's time to pay. You crossed me. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's all sad boy. Beth goes back to the fishing life with her dad. And then I didn't even mention this part earlier in the movie when Jake's photography, when she realized how great he is when he's not doing Pulse magazine stuff, he'd put together a book and I guess he'd sold it to a very few like small market earlier in his career. And she was like, I want a copy of the book. So turns out she had ordered one of the books. It shows up at Aunt Dottie's house after Beth left. And Aunt Dottie meets up with Jake and she's like, okay, well, this book's here. You are really good at photography. Maybe I believe you that you're sad and that you didn't mean to hurt her. Why don't you go to Beth in person in Washington and give it to her? He's like, really? Here's the address. Which I'm glad they included that because I always think it's weird when people just show up somewhere they've never been and they
Right.
run into the person they're trying to find. Like, how did you know they were there? But she gave him instructions. So off they go. And before he leaves, there's a little bit with like Pulse magazine trying to do a feature on him. And he's like, no, I'm done. Shutterbot is dead. Which I don't know why we can't have our career and our relationship.
Good point. Maybe he
But here we
realized
are.
that he didn't like who that paparazzi thing was making him into, right? So he realized the nature thing is the way to go. That's who I am. I'm an artist, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. I don't know.
Nah, who knows? So Jake takes his bike, his leather jacket, and a Bobo John Mayer song and goes towards Washington on the boat. He takes her the book, takes her to dinner because dad's like, you can forgive him. Come on. And he says he was afraid if she knew about Shutterbot, it would change things. Well, yeah, it was going to change things because you lied about stuff, but maybe you could have pulled that band-aid earlier. But here we are. She says Washington is where she belongs. And he says, you're beautiful wherever you are. And wherever you are is where I want to be. They have some sweet moments. They kiss again, and it is very, very
Spicy.
steamy for Hallmark.
I know.
Let me say. And then there's a new scene the next day, more kissing. And I think that this movie is the award winner for the longest smooches compilation in one movie. Listeners, if you can think of another contender, let us know. But then they ride off on his motorcycle and live presumably happy ever after in Washington. Okay, time for our gold or coal segment where we each give 3 gifts. If there's more gold, everything is clicking like a shutter bug.
Oh,
And if
good
there's more
one.
coal, there was no film in the camera. And if it's a tie, it's just a meh. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
Okay, gold out of the gate, the leads. Both these two, Tyler and Rhiannon, did such a wonderful job. And I got to say, look, the plot here was not much. This was a very dialogue driven movie. So it required actors who could really take the dialogue and make it sing because they weren't doing a whole lot in this movie, just talking a lot. So they did a great job. So gold out of the gate for them.
That's me too. My gold is the chemistry and the relationship. It felt lived in. I believed it. And we do not always have that luxury in these movies. So gold for them.
My next piece of gold, I thought this movie was visually stunning. There's lots of great scenery. I love the locales. We really got Washington, we got LA, and both of them look different and beautiful and make me want to visit. So loved it.
My next gold has to go to Tyler Hynes. He has a way of making every role he plays like effortlessly cool, even though he's always in a motorcycle and a leather jacket. I feel like too that helps. But I would not look that cool wearing a leather jacket and riding a motorcycle.
Oh.
So he's just got that swagger about him.
Absolutely.
He comes across completely sincere and delivers these lines in a way that leaves you hanging on every word. You believe it. He's not just reading a script, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. This one was definitely written with him in mind. You could totally tell.
Yeah.
I am going to give a small piece of coal here. And the reason being is, and I sort of alluded to it in my first gift, but there were moments where this felt a little boring to me. Like there just wasn't a lot happening here. It was all about who took this picture. And once she knew who took the picture, she was mad. And then he had to go apologize. And that was basically it. There was nothing else happening here. And I felt like at the end of the day, it was probably a movie that could have been maybe 20 or 30 minutes shorter and just as good.
But it's on Hallmark, and they have to be exactly the same length every
They got to
time.
fit.
2 hours with Macy's commercials.
Indeed.
I have a piece of coal, very tiny. Please don't come after us, Hynes. But I hated the agent fame subplot thing. I just don't think we needed it. Like we already kind of alluded to, it seems like there was some stuff cut out of it because it was not enough. I didn't want it at all, but it wasn't enough time spent on it to make it make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I didn't need her to like question if she should be famous and model and all that business. It was nothing that was like invested in her character at all. It came completely out of left field, and it seemed like a fever dream.
And if they're going
it seemed like from another movie.
And if they're going to introduce that kind of villain that late in the movie, then Tyler's character Jake should have played a part in sort of almost helping her to escape or rescue her. And I guess he did a little bit, but it could have been a little bit more pronounced. Like he could have fought for her. I don't know. Could have done more with it, or done away with it altogether. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's
we were
see.
4 and 2.
4 gold and 2 coal. So that means everything was clicking for us. Yay. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, admittedly, the spring movies aren't my most rewatched. I don't know that I'll ever rewatch this one, but I did think it was solid. I liked it a lot. There was a lot to enjoy. And again, like you said, it was all about the leads.
It was great acting, good feels, really good romance. Like it was a good romantic movie to watch. And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to Nick Schwartz for our theme song, and of course to you for listening.
Hey, if you like our podcast, be sure to review it, subscribe, and be sure to tell a friend too. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, so give us a follow. Leave a comment. You can also connect with us and find all of our social handles on our website at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Next time, we're having a little bit of a hard time deciding what movie to discuss, so keep an eye to our social media for your chance to vote on what we'll cover. And either way, you can bet we're going to have a lot to discuss. And until then,
may your days be merry and bright. See you next time.